Today, guys, I want to welcome a special guest, Marie Williams. I'm going to have her introduce herself in her way that they do. The purpose of this recording today and the way of the format is I am choosing to be anonymous because the people that are being exposed today do not wish good things on certain people, and I would like to protect myself. So I'm here to facilitate a conversation, to seek understanding. I am not going to be biased. My whole goal is to ask questions to further a conversation that brings clarity to what is going on. So, Marie, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Miguana Esqueo, meaning many feathers woman. At my mainstream name, I'm known as Marie Williams.
All right, so we have Marie here. So I want to start at the very beginning because I don't know a lot. I know it has something to do with water rights. So I want to start while you're still in your native land and what was going on with the water situation and that type of thing in your country.
Well, in my country, the issue is that we have potent hard metals in the water. So I'm talking about uranium 45, lead, and mercury at different places in the country, but most prominently in Saskatchewan. There's because Saskatchewan is like a big reserve almost because yes, there's Saskatoon as a city and etc. But it's really a big reserve. Like most of the entire country is treaty land. However, the mainstream people, the colonized people, the colonial people, have taken most of the space in terms of taking over cities and making themselves at home on treaty land. So there are provinces that are more oriented towards reservation land. So in Saskatchewan and various portion of it in various portion of the country, there's uranium 45, especially in the north. And this is associated with Canadian and American people combined together with a place called Uranium City. So Uranium City is on the west northwest of the Saskatchewan, the country, and it's a company that grabs the instance of uranium 45 and uh, buy the crude products and then turn it into energy for housings or etc. So because there's a large concentration pocket in that area that they have dug out, this caused a problem because when the problem comes when they dump the crude element, like after the byproducts of it, they dump it in the waters. So, and if they
Okay,
don't dump
so
it in the waters, they bury it at places where there's veins in the bottom that goes exactly where the water streams are
okay,
going
so let
by.
me clarify. I'm going to stop you a couple times. I'm going to try not to cut you off in the middle
Yeah,
of the
no,
thought.
I
But
understand.
so let me clarify. So what you're saying is, in Canada, you guys are on tribal land, and then you have the colonists, which would have been the people who came and settled the land afterwards. There's the area where you're at is called uranium, and they have a big portion of crude oil, petroleum type stuff, and the way they're not disposing of it properly, so they either dig it into the ground
It's
or
not
it goes into
petroleum.
water.
I'm sorry, I have to stop you. It's not
Go ahead.
petroleum.
Okay.
It's uranium 45. That's a
Oh,
yeah, these are hard metals like that's we're talking about radiation and etc.
so they're still not disposing of them properly.
No, they're not. And that causes disease. And the disease that it causes when it's in the water, I'm trying to make it very condensed for the people to understand that um, after they bury these elements, they go into our water stream. So it goes into the Churchill River system. It goes into the portages. They goes into lakes, and then it dumps into part of the large rivers. So what happened is when it goes through the system, we're drinking this water over there. Okay. So, and on reservation land, we're drinking this water. But once it gets at the end of the reservation land, which becomes the mainstream communities in between the reserves, these people have filtration system. However, there's still some that seeps in there. But on our reservation land in our little cities that is part of the reservation land, they ask us to boil the water. Now, you can't boil uranium, you can't boil mercury, and you can't boil lead. uh it doesn't happen. So what happened is that it creates disease because people have to ingest it in their food, when they boil their food, when they take showers, when they take baths, they drink their coffee. And so the people decided to get paid and not talk about these things. So they were given some
So
shit
they
the hell of money. Yeah,
oh, okay, so they got bribery money to not make a big deal about it. So they
that's right.
chose money over their health.
Hmm.
One more question. So as the water is going to the ground, do plants absorb these toxins as well, like the uranium?
Absolutely. And so does the wildlife. Like, I mean, we have hunters on our reserves. Like every year they have to go hunt for us. But these animals gets to drink this water. So everything we're
Wow.
eating and ingesting and drinking is poisoned, basically. And that's not even to talk about the pharmaceuticals that are using the water as a delivery system. That's only to talk about these big corporate company that just dumps crap in the dirt and they cover it up and thinking that it's just going to be, nobody will know.
Well, because
And
it's tribal land, so they don't really care about the tribal
that's
people.
right.
It's like, oh, we'll put on tribal land, no big deal. It's
Mm,
not going to impact us because we're higher ground. We're not downriver. Is that kind of is I am I
and
understanding
that's
that
correct.
correctly?
No, we are part of the river system, but the point of it is that I we didn't find out these elements until a politician came and visit, and he was actually an indigenous man from elsewhere, but he was getting into a party. So my partner at the time was getting into the Indigenous Party of Canada. This guy was getting into the Conservative Party. But when he came over before the press conference on they were having a debate. When the press came before it started, this guy totally like outed out everything. He says, "Oh yeah," he says, "these guys are digging holes up north here in your territory, ha ha ha, and they're burying all this crap here." And so I started investigating this, and I started going around, and then the elders took
Whoa.
me in the bush and they showed me glowing water because on occasion it seeps and you can actually see it in the dark.
Holy
So,
cow.
I mean, when you got green glowing water, there's a problem, right? So, yeah,
So that's not just in the movies. That's actually you. There's actually
no, that's
actually really see
actually
it.
that's real. That's very real. It's not
Wow.
Kool-Aid. It's not some fluorescent crap. It's actually glows because it's a radioactive material. See?
Okay.
So, and the other hard metals, they don't glow, but you can see that they're in the water and it's a substance. And these hard metals, they cause diseases. And this is what the medical system won't talk about. And the pharmaceutical will not talk about it either because they think that they can use chemo as a way to cure some of these cancers that these hard metals cause. And also the hard metals is also viewed by the pharmaceutical as another way to produce medicine that is not going to help us. So this continued to be a party to the genocidal actions that the government has done to the indigenous people over the years.
That was my next question. So you feel like it's very intentional. I mean, they're intentionally burying this stuff on your land.
Yeah.
Even if they're not intentionally doing it, they're doing it in such a way that there's lack of care for life.
Yeah, it's an intent, right? So And I mean, their goal initially is to get rid of it. Like, oh well, we can't do anything with this, so let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it on these Indians' land, right? So, and what and it funny enough, like a friend of mine that I've been talking to for 5 years told me, Marie, I want to believe you, but there's no evidence of this, and nobody is talking about it. I said, yeah, okay. And he went to work in that province, that particular province, because he was a flagger. He was following the big rigs. He was showing them the way, right? And it's a tedious job because you have to stay in your vehicle for a long time following these big rigs that's trying to move something across the province. And he says when he got into Saskatchewan, he gave me a call and he says, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And I said, "What's wrong?" He says, "They just spoke about what you said on the radio today." I said, "Really?"
Five
And
years later?
no, no, I knew him for 5 years, but that was like 20 years later.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I was like 22 months ago when I was talking to him before I came to LA, right? But the, the instances are real. And I mean, I had like workers, I was the mental health worker at the time because I wear many hats. I have a lot of education on different fields. I'm just that kind of person, right? So I was a social worker at the time, and I was doing mental health for a part of our tribes, and I had the chance to talk to the bacteriologists that went to school to come back to the reserve to help our people, and to the girls that was dealing with testing those waters, and a guy that was testing the waters for a while because there's different people that come from all over to do different tests, right? And one of the individual was crying and saying they want me to go on radio and start telling people to boil their waters. And this individual quit right after, but they were afraid for their life, and they were afraid for the sustainability of their own family members. So they completely move out of there to end up working into a lab and probably making potentially more money than they were doing working for the tribe. However, um, this person didn't feel comfortable to go on the radio every day and say, boil your water for 10 minutes and you should be fine.
He didn't want to
Boiling,
lie.
yeah. So boiling your water for 10 minutes will take the common bacteria off the water. That's all it's going to do. It's not going to take the hard metal and the uranium and anything like that. It's not going to take these instances. And these instances, they cause cancers, they cause in women endometriosis and um, birth defects and early, like losing babies left and right. And the elders have other problems, and even the young people.
Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, preterm labor,
Yeah,
um,
boils, like
birth
some
defects.
of them are just poisoned, like it's
Just
uranium
poison.
poisoning. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Okay,
mercury
so
poisoning, etc. So
you told me that I'm just going to try to keep us down a certain path.
yes,
So you were telling me that you have a background in, was it chemistry, biology,
physics. Yeah,
physics? Did
yeah. I'm
you tell me
an
that you came up with a
experimental
way?
physicist. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me, so this is kind of like the background of what's going on in your town. And so you have a water problem, and
Mhm.
you'd come up with a solution for that
That's right.
problem. So
Yes.
tell me what that is.
Well, the solution was mostly something I thought of my own, but however, I had worked with some of the elders. They talked about the plants and the flowers that lives around us, because it is our belief that every man-made disease can be cured by everything that lives around you. Like all the plants that are around you is a medicine for you to cure yourself from man-made disease. But when we're talking about these big elements such as uranium and lead and mercury, there's there's a different tone to it. So you have to find specific plants that will, and this is the part where I got into that notion of cleaning the water perpetually. So, and cleaning the water perpetually, it has to have a different stage of the element that can clean these water. So my contention with the elders, we had a conversation, and some of them have studied these plants forever. And then we talked about certain plants that are rooted very deeply in the ground and that has the potential to ingurgitate the hard metal, and that's actually their function, which they live in water and they ingurgitate the hard metals, but they also take some of the bacteria as well and return it down below, far down below the residue of it. So far down below means that it's less harmful for us on this plane, so that when we're growing things, it's not being affected and it doesn't come back to harm us again, right?
So it's pretty much the root system of the plants absorbs these metals, which is as a result diluting. I would say diluting. I don't know if that's the right word. Diluting it, so as it goes downstream, further downstream, it doesn't have a high concentration of it.
No, it eliminates it completely.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it ingurgitate like the plant itself will ingurgitate the hard metal because it's got an ion pulse inside of them that attracts these metals, and so they'll
Okay.
ingurgitate the metal, and it's not harmful to them because of their chemistry and the way they're built. And so and it
Okay.
returns the hard metal into their root system, and it doesn't continue to disturb the water. So
So
all
it's like
you
a big filter. It's like a big filtration system.
That's right. So it's half and a half. You dump some water in one half, the other half's got all these plants, rows everywhere, and they filter this water. And then we calculate the process on how long it takes to filter that particular side of the basin. And then it sends into a pump station, which will clean the chemicals that the pharmaceuticals use as a delivery system to create disease in the general population, and also it cleans the bacteria, and it's shooted into a tank. So this tank is then the pure water that people can come and get, or that we'll bottle to give to people, but we'll bottle it into some special material because we don't want to continue to poison the people with some of the plastic
Yeah.
that's going around out there, right?
Okay. So you come up with this idea to be able to. You have this idea to go and clean out the water system. It seems like a viable source. You've done the research on it.
Yes, I did the
Um,
testing and everything. Yeah.
so you know it works. So then it comes to how do we? Does it come to a funding issue? Does it come to getting your voice out there? Like,
Well,
why do you need extra?
first of all, at that time, I had money to do this and to start the first wetland application. And there's a pipeline attached to this that I build a pipeline that is a containment and recovery system that hasn't been seen on the market ever. And it contains and it recover oil, crude oil spill on agricultural way and waterways, and it's also a delivery system for clean water to remote areas, or to simply bring clean water to every household.
So okay, so we got this the water system. You know how to do everything. So you have the money to fund most of this? When do you start running into problems? Is it that people didn't want you to do this?
Well, I mean, I'm conscious that this is a controversy. I mean, I'm quite conscious that this is a problem that I'm going to face. I mean, it's no different than me starting the TRC to bring a stop to genocidal action against indigenous people. It's huge. It's big. Like the pharmaceutical and these big corporations, they don't want anybody to come and clean any water, right? They think they know
Yeah.
how to clean it,
No,
and
they don't. They just
they
they
don't.
want to continue to deliver. They want to continue to
That's right.
deliver these things, and they don't want to take another outside idea that's going to work. So you're presenting this
Well, and
idea.
what
Do you
I'm
have to get?
presenting, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
What
you go
I'm
ahead.
presenting to these big corporations is that they need to sit down with me, and I already talked to a few of them, and they're on board with that. It's like, I mean, the big pharmaceutical and those big corporations, they need to sit down with me, and they need to understand that the future is about these elements, and that they like it or not, eventually people will stop ingesting their poison that continues to kill people slowly and painfully. Like if you think about some people that have blood pressure issues, they're going to give them one pill and another pill to counteract the problem of that one pill, and then another pill that'll counteract the other pill that could cause another blockage, and et cetera, et cetera. And I
Yeah.
mean, it makes them sick, right?
Yeah.
In this
So we get
sense.
the
Yeah.
yeah, so we get the point of how the pharmaceuticals the industry works. But
Yes,
let's
but then
focus
when
on
you have solution to present to an element like these big
yes.
people, if you throw them a bone and say, look, you can be party to this, you can make more money being party to this than to poison people. Because initially, I mean, you can build so many medicine that people will be so afraid because it's all fear mongering, right? Um, to give to people, or you can be party to something that people actually get well and continue to evolve naturally within the combine of the natural laws. Because at the end of the day, this is the surgence that's happening right now in this world. The consciousness is already low, but people are working really hard to bring up that consciousness of this world, and the pharmaceutical is not helping. So if they want to continue to make money, they need to sit down and we need to find solutions that they will be appeasing to them and appealing.
So
So that's
have
my
you sat down
contention.
have you sat down with them yet?
I sat down with a few people that are kind of the outsiders of the big honchos, but they were they agreed that there should be a different direction for the pharmaceutical in order for us to all unite and create a world that our children and their children would like to evolve into. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about us here, it's about the younger generation and the children after that generation,
Well,
right?
yes, yeah. So we got the importance of the water. So what I'm trying to get at is the roadblocks. Like why are we having a roadblock? So you've been trying to sit down with the bigger people. So you still haven't had a meeting with the higher ups of the pharmaceutical company.
No,
You've just
so
had people on the outskirts of it.
that's correct. So the next step was, because I had approached some oil and gas company, and they were quite interested in the pipeline idea. And I had structured a company that could actually start making the products that I was selling to the oil and gas companies. And COVID hit, and the guy ran away. But then somebody else came and replaced that, and this individual of Dwayne Johnson destroyed this whole enterprise here. But in
Okay,
any
well, okay, we haven't got into that part of
yeah,
the story yet. So
yeah.
let's stay where
So
we're
the
on track of the
idea
story.
was to sell the pipeline and build the company for that pipeline company, and for the oil and gas company of the choice at the time, and sell them the company for like 250 million, just as an example. Okay. And the first installment would have been half of that, while I show them how to put it together on site to do the first installation, and then their staff would have take it from there, and I get paid the rest. So this whole thing would have took like a couple years, and that money would have been allotted to start these wetland at different areas of the country and beyond, right?
So
Like
you
the
had this water system that you were going to sell to these companies and oil companies,
the pipelines. Yeah.
the pipelines, yes, so the pipelines. And so you had a guy that was going to do it. COVID hit. Either he ran or someone higher up decided, yeah, you can't be here. So we're going to replace you with this person. This other person comes in, and it kind of seems like it hasn't been progressed since then.
Well, it couldn't progress because some other entity took over by saying, okay, we're going to be involved, but we need some big shot involvement here. We need some people that are more serious than you.
They wanted to replace you because they didn't think that you were
They
serious
weren't
enough.
replacing me, basically, but what they were saying, they didn't say it straight up like this, but this is what it meant. They wanted some other entities, some other presence to be a little bit higher up than myself to be
Oh, they
involved.
wanted you to be a celebrity. They wanted you to be a celebrity or someone that had a face or a name that could make a
That's right.
movement, that could make it
That's right.
be someone could shine from this. Someone other than you who's been taking care of your people, coming
Yeah.
up with a solution. You have to have some other person that's
Mhm.
going to be the face of this thing. And it couldn't be you, this wonderful person. It has to be someone
No,
else.
it would have been me, but my contention with them is that look, my family and I had to sit down. We talked about it. We have some tribal people that we knew in the past and knew their family in the past, and that I could try to approach, and that we could try to approach and say, look, all we need you to do is be the voice for 5 minutes, and I'll take it from there. Because I did the TRC, I'm not afraid of the public. I was in public. I was a singer.
So why did they need? So why did everybody think that you needed another face? That's where I'm having a hard time
Well,
understand.
because their concern was that it's only gonna go really small, and they wanted to go this way, right? And I was like, yeah,
So more PR. They wanted publicity for
that's
it.
right.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so you're like, okay, so you sit down with the tribal people,
Mhm.
and you know people from your tribe. Some of them are famous. So the next step was to do what?
Was to approach somebody that had some kind of connection with us, and I mean that wasn't my choice at first. It was my brothers. They go, look, we have a relationship in the past with this particular family, and why not approach him? He seems like a friendly guy. And I was like, I don't like him. I wasn't agreeable at first because I met the guy in gym. I met the guy behind the scene with a boyfriend of mine, and I didn't like the arrogance and yeah, no.
Just have just said the vibes, because if you come across to me as an energy person from our other conversations, like energy and vibes, like I can be in a room with someone and I can feel if they have negative energy or bad mood. Like you could just kind of almost by their body
Yeah.
language, by their words, the mannerisms, you can kind of get a good feel for someone. So you kind of cave to your brother's wishes because you really want this thing to get going. So then you contact this person, and who is that?
Well, they told me to look him up at first because I was disagreeable about it. I mean, sure, we liked him during the wrestling and all this and that. I mean,
Okay, but they don't know who this person is yet. You got to say the name.
so this person is Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Okay,
Hmm.
so
In
he was
Seven
part of your
Hot Blood.
tribe.
Yes. Well, not part of my tribe. No, he's a tribal person from a
Okay,
Polynesian background. However, on his grandmother's side and his mother's side, he's a tribal person to us. And so
okay.
this connection was already established for us when we were younger, right? But we didn't like the connection got lost after my grandmother died and this and that. Anyways, I wasn't previous to that part because I was already gone. But um, we had some type of connection to these people because my grandfather was also a wrestler and a boxer, and he knew Johnson's father. So, and then my grandfather
So he had
passed.
family
So,
ties. So not
yeah,
only was he tribal, but you had a family connection. You
yes,
had family
because
relations with him, and people knew him. So it wasn't like you just found this person and he was going to be a spokesperson.
no,
You knew him, and there were people in your family who obviously did trust him, but you
that's
just
right.
didn't. Okay.
No, because I had met him after he became this big shot wrestler before the movie crap. And because I was a bodybuilder at the time, and I was also a singer and whatever, and I was doing theater, but I had a boyfriend that was trying out, and I showed up there and I interacted with him very briefly because to me, the energy he was giving out was this entitlement, misplaced entitlement and arrogance. And I mean, I don't have the tolerance to have people like that around me. So,
So what
but
made you decide? So what made you decide to actually go and meet with him?
well, my brothers, I mean, this is years ago when I met this guy in the background, and I met him in a few gyms.
Yeah,
But my
yeah.
brother says you should look him up and study this and check him out, check his story, look at him, blah, 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 right? So they were really up and at it about it. And that was my oldest brother and my middle brother, my second oldest brother, and Richard and Will. They were like separately, and these two didn't speak no more. So it's like it was almost like they had this idea at the same time, but didn't talk to each other about it, and then got me to look into it. So I
Oh,
that's
because they weren't talking to each other and they were each saying the same thing. You're like, okay, there must be something
so
here.
it's
There must be
really weird
something,
to me. So I seen it as a spiritual thing. I was like, yeah, maybe
like a
there's a
sign.
connection there that we can explore in terms of these elements, and I'm sure that this country here can totally use some clean water. So
Yes.
I
Okay,
mean,
so
that's
you
where it went.
relent. You don't have a good feeling about this guy, but you're like these two people, my brothers. They don't talk to each other, but they're both saying the same thing. So maybe this is a sign from whatever spirit that you believe in
Yeah.
that this is the right thing. So the next step is
Look
you
them
make
up.
contact with him.
Yeah, so I had to do some research first. So it took me about 6 months. And then I found out my one brother was sick because they died in the middle of this, right? And that's very important to me that this is told because they were like my father, my brothers to me. And so I did the research and I said, yeah, maybe there's a soul in there. Maybe that guy really is changed and maybe he's got some kind of experience in the back now and that he can be a decent human being. And so I tried to get a hold of him through management, through different people, because I mean, when you start looking at things online, you get five different answers. And that was like 7 years ago, right? So the internet was a little different at the time, and but you would get eventually to the right people. So, and this is how it started. And so I said that on top of looking for his management, which were completely rude, uh, then I had these management say, "Oh, go talk to this agency, go talk to that agency." I was like, "Look, I'm not into going all over the place with this." I said, "This is a tribal sit down amongst tribal people to talk about an important issue." And eventually, I got a hold of him, and he can tell people he doesn't know me and he never spoke to me and he doesn't know anything about this. It's a bunch of bullshit because I have evidence that says otherwise. In any case, I got a hold of him, and I mean, let you know, I went through about a good 300 people, but some of it was quite
Okay,
evident.
so let's make sure I can understand. Keep it simple, stupid for me. So you've got to set up this meeting
Yes.
with The Rock, and so all you want to do is have a tribal sit down, and that is just you, him, come meet with your elders. Let's discuss what this plan is. We just want you to be this voice, and in the process of doing so, you've gone through like so many people you can't even keep track of them, and then
Mhm.
finally you get a hold of him personally. Is that correct?
Yes. And then I'm being put to, and he says, "Look, if you want to sit down with me about this, I'm really excited about that. Yes, I want to be part of this." And I was just at the tail beginning of his talk with his trip to China, before his trip to China, and he was talking about clean water, right? Like, I mean, the Voss company. So he was about to get into this contractual agreement with them, but that was like in the making.
So he was going to China.
Well, he went
I
to
don't.
China eventually. Anyways, it's a long
Yeah.
story.
Well, no,
This
because you were saying it had to do with water, and he went to China. I'm
was
just wondering
Voss.
if he.
Originally, Voss was from
I know,
China.
but yeah, but
Yeah.
this is my question though. Is I wonder if he said something to the China people about your water idea.
Mhm.
So you have this water idea. He comes back, and he's no longer interested or excited about your
No,
project.
he was still interested in it,
Oh,
and I said we can even involve Voss. There's no problem. They can make money as well, And this was the conversation I was having with this guy here. And also when I got a hold of him, he says you have to talk to my management. So I got in touch with this management. Well, he put me in touch with them. I discussed that. They said, well, you have to come up with $2,500 for the intent for booking because we don't spend all day going around with papers and people wants to meet Dwayne, but
okay.
they're so
So booking. So
yeah.
I'm
So they,
paraphrasing so that makes sense. So
yeah. So
you
then they,
have a booking. Let me paraphrase it, and then you can tell me if I'm wrong. So
yeah.
you have a booking with him. So he sets you up with his management. It's $2,500 to set up a booking. Is pretty much just an appointment where you have time to talk with him.
That's correct.
Okay.
And so the 2,500 is just for the form. It's the
What?
intent. Yeah. Because they're not going to like if you talk in terms of corporations and companies that are fast paced like these guys are, you don't want to spend time or somebody or hire somebody to specifically go through all these in these oh, I want a booking with this guy, well, fill out this form and then we'll call you. They don't have time to do this. You have to be committed to this. So $2,500 is an incentive for you not to
It's a down payment.
yeah,
It's
it's
a
a
down
down payment
payment.
basically.
Okay. Yeah.
So and then you discuss how much. And so the big challenge here was that there was some racial differences. There were some issues with our race as indigenous people. Okay. And I'm sure and he had some issues with his people in terms of his race as well, because he hadn't started to out himself out with his people and his culture until not that long ago, probably
Well,
10.
because I assumed I'm not being racial here, but I always assumed he was black.
Yeah.
I did not know he was indigenous. So
Mhm,
when you told me he was part of your tribal people, I was extremely shocked because I just thought he was black.
mhm.
I mean, or I know mulatto, mixed race. That's just always what I assumed he was. And so he's part of this tribe. They're
Half
kind of
Polynesian and half black. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But his
So
grandmother
anyway, so there's
is very
racial
prominent
issues.
in his life, so his family is very traditional in terms of their culture.
So do you think they were putting you off because they were racist towards you because you're indigenous? Thought less of
Yeah, the
you?
management was because they didn't allow him, and this is what I found out later. At some point, this guy was on some kind of um, conservatorship, and I mean that it's a secret or not, I don't care. I'm going to tell it.
So so he's like Britney Spears. He has a management that tells him who he can meet with, when
Hmm.
they can meet it with, what they can say, what contractual agreements that he can run into. So he's not running his life. Someone else is running his life.
Well, he wasn't at the time, anyways. Let's put it this
So
way.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So at that time that you're doing this, he's all gung ho and wants to do it. It's his management, the people who are in charge of him, running him, whatever, that are stopping you from having this meeting.
Yeah, so they didn't have a bracket that says, let's say, tribal event or indigenous event or indigenous sit down or any types of implication that there was a cultural um, sit
Issue.
down or cultural moment with somebody, with some people. There is none of that. And I mean,
Okay.
I mean, it was difficult for me to understand the mechanic of this country to begin with, because in Canada, they all have to have some type of indigenous tribal event that is on their bracket, right? Because
Yeah, but this is the
otherwise
United
it's going
States. We
to
wouldn't
them,
have that here.
right? But here they didn't have that because they don't care about
Yeah.
Indian people. Okay.
Well, but it's not a thing here though. We don't have people sitting down with tribal people here. So in your
Mm.
country, you guys have more of a voice. In ours,
Yes,
have their
because I
own.
made sure of that. Yes.
Yes, yes. But okay, so you're trying to meet with him. His management's not letting him. He said he wants to. So then what
So
happens
they said
next?
it has to be business or we don't have any tribal whatever. So they were really rude about it. And I said, that's racial discrimination. I said, how come you don't have a place where this guy can sit about you? I said, not even humanitarian efforts. They go, oh, humanitarian crap. No, we don't have anything like that. We got business or events or whatever, or you just want to meet him. It's like, okay, let's put business there, right? Because I was getting annoyed, right? So I
Well,
said,
it is
yeah,
kind of
let's
business
put
too, though.
business
Yeah.
there. And now they started telling me that, the price was very low at first. And then it exponentially got bigger because they kept changing. It's like
Okay.
they kept changing people.
Okay. So let's slow down just a second. So So your project originally started in 2020 of getting this out there. Then that someone at that company you're working with gets replaced with someone else. You with your brothers
My company
decide.
started in 20, like long time ago, but in
No,
29,
but when you start contacting Wayne though,
that was uh,
Dwayne.
that was 2017. Yeah,
Okay, so you started contacting him in 20. I'm just trying to put a timeline together.
yeah. I didn't
So
talk
you
to
start
him about
contacting him in 2017. In 2020 is when you were talking with the pharmaceutical companies and the oil companies and with the pipeline. And so for 3 years prior to all of this stuff, Dwayne was already, you're already trying to work with Dwayne. So what timeline are you? So you're having this meet down with him or whatever. What year is that when the first time
Well,
with the
this has been
contractual?
7 years for me here. Okay, so that the contract, the contractual agreement came in 2021. I said, look,
Okay.
we need to do a contractual agreement because this is ridiculous. I paid astronomical amount of money just to sit down with the tribal man for 5 minutes.
Okay, well, let's. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm getting lost, so I'm just trying to make sure that people who are watching and listening to this don't get lost either in the weeds. And I'm just trying to put because I work on timelines and time frames because that's just how my brain processes things.
okay,
So in
okay.
27, so you've already worked on this project for years and years and years.
Yeah,
2017, you start contacting him, right? So the first time when you did your first down payment to meet with him, what year? What year was that?
was in 2018.
Okay, so 20. So you start contacting 2017. 2018 is the first time you have a whatever the sit down payment established, and then after that you're getting the run around with various people. They switch again. Okay, do your next step, and then maybe the year. Oh, because I'm just trying to keep track of all of this.
Yeah. So yes, in 2018, I started making payment towards this, and then in 2019, we had some dispute about the arrangement because they were raising the price because people were changing in his management, and then suddenly we had somebody that because what I'm what's important to understand is that he has a management of three different sorts. Okay, he's got the movie management, the sports manager, and this Garcia manager is immediate management with seven
Garcia,
production. Yeah, Danny
Garcia manager.
Garcia, right?
Who?
Danny Garcia,
The you're talking about the
his
boxer?
ex-wife. No, no,
Oh,
his ex-wife, Danny
oh,
Garcia.
okay. I didn't know who she was. Sorry.
That's his
Okay,
ex-wife. Okay,
okay. So
so
his ex-wife was his manager. Okay,
yeah,
so
and
that's
she's
what.
part of $7 production.
Okay, okay.
So a lot of people know that information, but yeah, but his ex-wife is part of $7 production because she is the
Okay.
CEO of it, but he's still part of
Okay.
it because that's he started this with her.
Okay.
So,
So there's other people. So there's people basically you don't
but
have direct
his
contact with him.
management have some minions that works for them. Okay, so these
Yeah.
minions are the one that started dealing with handling this,
Okay.
and
Yes.
he allowed it to happen. I mean, he's not he's not an angel, and he's certainly not the people's champion.
So it sounds like he was all on board. He gets his other people, the lower level people involved. So there's layers here. And it
Hmm.
seems like once it got to the upper management, the people who control everything of his daily life are the ones that kept changing and changing the rules of the game. So your contact person was a different person. And each layer up, they're like, whoa, we can demand more money from her.
Yeah,
Is that
pretty
right?
much. And
Okay.
they got me to lose my home and my equipments.
Okay,
Uh,
so let's go, but let's not get too far ahead. Let's get to that part of it. So, how much more money do they want for you to do the contractual stuff in
well, right
2021?
in the middle of this, I said, "Look, that's enough. I don't want nothing to do with this anymore, Dwayne." I said, "You need to give me my money back and fuck off." Okay, that's where I was at because I needed to move forward with this. Okay, and if he
Yeah.
wasn't on par and didn't want to be involved with this or just sit down even because it wasn't about me taking anything from him. I was trying to give him something. Imagine that. So I it was a sit down, a simple sit down to talk about a possibility of a water project. If I could just use his voice and his prominence as a tribal man for 5 minutes, I would take it from there. So that was the only sit down I wanted to have with this guy here, and to give him part of the company so that he makes some money from doing that little bit
Okay,
for.
so is he so as part of the sit down and part of what you were trying to do was have him, you were willing to have him be like a partner or a part of your company to where he
Mhm.
was going to be making money from this company. So it wasn't just I need this prominent voice to be a part of just be a pretty person to look at, right? It was you wanted him to be a part of the company.
That's right.
So okay, so he agrees to be. He wants to be part of this company. He thinks it's going to be good,
Like
and
in whatever
so
capacity you wanted, it would have been silent, and you can make a residue of it. Like, I mean, that's money, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
But
yeah,
so he
now
agrees to this. Did you have to pay him more? So in total, out of your pocket, how much money have you had to pay him
$2.3 million
out of your pocket?
Canadian. Yes.
You've paid 2.3 million out of your pocket just for all of this.
Yeah, just to sit down with this idiot here. I'm
I thought
sorry.
you said it started out with 2.5. So at first it was 2,500. So that's 2,500.
Yes, and from there they had some low amount, like 50,000. He said to me, "Hey," he said, "I'll meet you for 50,000." I was like, "Perfect. We'll come up with it, and I'll give it to you in one shot." And that's what I did. But then it went up. It went up to 120. Then it was 250 because the management kept
How did you come up with all this
involving itself.
money? How did you come up with all of this? Just raising it from your tribal people and
No, I worked for that money. I'm not an idiot. I know how to
I didn't
work.
say work. Well, I didn't say you work. But I'm just like that. I'm sorry. That is just a lot of freaking money.
Yes.
So nothing's happening. No,
I had
nothing's
two
moving forward.
companies at that time, and it doesn't matter where that money came from. I worked for
No, I
it.
don't care. No, that's not my point. Because I know you're a hardworking person.
Thanks,
I'm just
eventually.
flabbergasted that they took that much. They extorted money from you. So you have this. So you still haven't physically sat down with him and met with him.
And
And this
he
is
promised so
2024.
many times to come over and sit down with me because he was going to
7
have a
years.
production over there, and he never did, and they never allowed it. Because every
But
time, one of the time wasn't his fault though. His dad died, and we sat in ceremony to support them and everything, right? However, we understood that he couldn't make it. But the other times he didn't. He always told me in advance that he couldn't make it. He wasn't like, "Oh, show up at the airport and not showing up." He would say, "Look, I'm pushing for Monday or Tuesday and spend at least 4 days there to have these talks with you and to visit your people, and so we can talk about these issues, right?" And I was like, "Perfect." So we can really like bond over this water thing and then come up with a plan on how you could help. And I mean, my part was to give him some of it, right? So what happened there is after a while, I was like, no, we don't want nothing to do with this anymore because, wow, that's a lot of money.
is that after all your money? So all your money is gone at this point.
No,
So
at
like
this point, I still have money, and it's like
okay.
250 and it's pushing 450. So they're like, well, at least 450. That's what he was saying to me, Marie. It's got to be 450 because they're not. And then eventually he was negotiating with them for me. And then it became this idiot problem. And I would fight with him, and he would say, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I was like, I don't care. You're sorry at this point, man. I want my money back because my brothers died first, and then I needed to bury them. They were both in the state, and I had to take care of everything. So I needed my money back so I can help. And I mean, so I had to dig in some other part of my other businesses to pay for these incidental, which I shouldn't have to. And eventually I had to sell one of the companies so I can make money, so I can pay these assholes because they said to me, and he sent me a portion of the policy, and then I showed it to my lawyer. The policy stipulate that if you don't pay the entire booking, you're not getting your money back and you lost it all.
So wait, so it started out with $2,500, and now we're up to thousand million. We're getting up to millions of dollars, and they're saying you're going to lose. You can't get a refund, and yet he's the one who's pushed off your booking all this time. It almost seems like their whole goal. You have this brilliant idea. It actually would work, and it seems like. And I don't even think it at this point. I don't even know if it's him, and maybe it is. I don't know, but it seems like the people above him are the ones telling him what he can and cannot do. That or he's just playing the innocent, sweet, charming person, which he very well could be.
Yes, he
But
protected them,
they're
and
bankrupting
he
you.
knows. Yeah, he knows they're in the wrong, and some of other people, some entity out there that are puppeteering this puppet here because he's really just a
Hollywood.
puppet, really. So
Hollywood.
Hollywood and some other power entity outside of this, which I discovered at some point, but I'm not, not ready to go to war with
She's
people
not.
like
By
that
the
yet.
way, Marie's not suicidal.
No.
She's not. She does has no plans to do anything harmful, which I know for certain. If something happens to her that's random, it's not her doing so. I don't want to put that on
No.
the air. Public record, not suicidal, does not want to take her life, does not want to harm her dog or any other person living around her whatsoever. So let's just
Mhm.
make that perfectly clear. So yes, they're,
And I
so
made sure to gather evidence and tell as many people and send 3 sets of it at different places in the globe so that my story will not be silenced. And
yes,
they can come at me if they want. I am not afraid.
but
Okay.
there are people who find out everything.
And I really don't care about these people. They have no prominence in my life whatsoever. All I wanted was very harmless, was to start a bunch of wetland application to clean water perpetually.
And him being a face would make it
That's very
easier because
simple. And him
he would be
just,
reputable.
that's right. And
And at
I
this
mean,
point, go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead. Sorry.
but what they did is they turned this into an ugly thing. And at this point, I'm like, you know what? If I ever meet this guy, this is not going to be pretty because I'm going to tell him straight up what kind of individual he is.
And at this point, all you want is your money back and your life back,
Yes.
so you can
And
continue
I
your
mean,
work.
and then we signed an agreement at some point in 2021. And I said, listen, this is enough. And I said, he says, well, now you're going to have to pay the remainder. I said, how is it that it's costing me twice the amount of 450,000? Because that was the agreement. He says, because management changed and it took too long because eventually I couldn't just come up with that money just like that. So I said, look, it's going to be on increment and on payment because I can't come up with that shit all the time. Here, I'm not the bank. And so he said, well, okay, we'll establish a payment plan with them. And so they came to me and said, yeah, okay, we'll take payment plans. And then they would come up with like $5,000 every 2 weeks and or every week or every second day
So
or
they're, but yeah. So they're, so yeah. I get that they just keep taking more and more money from you, but it just seems like I'm trying really hard not to have an opinion, and I do have a conspiratorial mind. And when I say conspiratorial, is when the pieces don't add up on my end. It's like what's going on behind the scenes? What is their motive? Are they trying to bankrupt you so you cannot finalize your plan, so you don't have the means to go forward with your plan? Like, what's the
exactly.
goal?
Okay, the goal, okay, to be quite frank about this whole story here, is the goal was that in their mind, this was just a game. Okay, and that's exactly what it was. It was a game of elitists that decided to take over this little bullshit plan they had. And then I paid 450 and then they said, well, we're gonna get rid of this. Took too long to get this. I mean, and then we want another 450. So he said, look, you gotta pay another 450 and don't worry, I got your money. I will give you more. I'll give you double, triple that. I was like, he said, just pay it. So now it became a desperation for him to meet me to get out of this bullshit they put him in. So this became really twisted and weird. And I was like, okay, I did recon and
Okay,
this is
before you
bullshit.
get too far down, I have one question for you. Do these people have your schematics? Do they have anything that so if they could replicate what your work or no?
Well, they can, but I have patents and
Oh, good.
they
Okay.
can
When
even
do they run
use the
out?
bolt on any
When
of
do you,
it.
when do
Yeah.
your patents run out? When do your patents run out?
Oh no, it don't run out in Canada. It's mine forever.
Oh, so okay. So they
Yeah.
don't have your schematics, they don't have your patents.
No.
So maybe they want to try to buy your patents. I don't know. Okay, go ahead. I was just like,
Well,
I was
no,
just
I
wondering
don't
what
think
the.
that's where I was going, and I know where you're going with this, and I appreciate that. But this is not where this was going. This was
Yeah.
going to a dark place where a bunch of elitists were playing this puppet. And now I became the point of people putting somebody out of business financially is about ownership. Okay. So, and that's the elitist game. They go, holy shit, this person is valuable. We're
Oh.
going to bankrupt her and then we'll
They
own.
wanted you dependent upon
Yeah.
them because they want you
And we'll
desperate.
give her
They
some
want
money.
you
Yeah. It
because
was, she'll do
because you're
this and
smart.
this for us. Exactly. And he saw that
Oh,
himself. He was telling me, you're very smart and blah, blah, blah. I was like, yes, I am. Unfortunately, that's one of my many fault here
they want you
because I'm being
bankrupt
abused
to
and used all
control.
the time. And now you're using me with this. And he was like, no, I promise you I will give you everything back and more. So I said, okay, let's sign an agreement. So I was a lawyer once upon a time, and I gave up that project as well because I didn't like the red tapes and all the bullshit.
Yeah.
So I had to educate myself in the laws of California because at the time, well, he has an office here in LA, right, with $7 production. So I decided that I was going to study that and make a an agreement with him to repay me a certain amount of money plus damages. So this was before they took my house. So now I'm told with some documentation at that point, and I gave it to my lawyer for us to investigate, and he says, yeah, he's right. If you don't pay the remainder of this booking, they're not giving you your money back ever, and you're on the street with nothing. I said, well, fuck that. I'm not going on the street. So I said, no, no, I'll finish their stupid booking, but I'm going to have him sign an agreement. And the agreement also stipulates that we both agree not to involve any lawyers in any courts or any public appearance of this story at all, and that he would pay in the 31st of December 2021 was the last day of him paying, but he didn't. So
So
I
he was.
said,
So he was. So you have a so you have. So you have a contractual agreement that
yeah,
he's going to pay you back your money plus damages
that's right.
by this certain date in 2021,
Yes.
and
And
he signed
he
it.
didn't pay. He signed it and he didn't pay. And he was very adamant about not involving any lawyers. I said, I agree. Let's do this together so that we're both comfortable with me paying the rest of this and you paying me. So now he goes, I'm sorry, some other things is happening. They want you to pay an extra 50,000. And I said, I don't have that no more because now I had to sell my house to pay the remainder of this. But in between this, what happened is that my husband was murdered, okay, on my land. And at that time, there was a lot of interference, electronically speaking, and my privacy was totally violated. And then some people from the MMA and the WE world started infiltrating themselves in my life.
How would they know about you?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the big question. Okay, I didn't know these people
Wow.
until then. Okay, and sometimes I would get a text and go, "Okay, you need to go back home now. You need to go back home. You need to stay safe." And I was like, "What is going on?" And
Who would you get a
several
text
times I
from?
was told, "I'm protecting your life with my life."
From
And
who?
well, I'm not going to disclose that at this point, but
Oh, okay, okay. So you have someone that's
yeah,
helping you and telling you this.
yeah.
Okay, I was like, I was just okay. That's fine. I don't
And
need to know
I
that.
mean, I'm not a person you can scare off. I don't care about these people. Okay. Because in my frame of mind, it's not about being cocky about it. Okay. And it's not because I know how to defend myself physically and because I know how to handle myself. That's not the point. from me in my life is that I follow a very strict set of rules with regards to how I walk my path. I'm good to everyone. I help people. I help the elders. I take care of the children. I take care of Mother Earth. I take care of a lot of things on this earth. And my purpose is to advance in that. But I'm always walking this sacred path. That means I follow all the natural laws. And if I don't follow this, then that's when this trouble comes to you. So that's where I'm at with this fear mongering stuff. Okay. They don't scare me. And I did prepare myself for these eventualities that these people might try to intimidate me. Good luck. They tried already, and I don't bite. Okay. Because this is not the point of this. This had nothing to do. I didn't do anything to these people. I don't deserve a ion of what they did to me and my family. And killing my husband, really? Yeah. It's quite debilitating when you find, and I mean, later on somebody showed me the video of me running around on my land and finding my husband in a shed murdered. And let me tell you, when I saw the video, yeah, I went back there, like in my heart and my mind. And I was like, wow. And the person that was trying to help me says, I cannot be involved in this. Actually, I can't give you that video because it leads to me, and I don't want these people to know anything about me.
So, so
So
were you
I
home? Were you
told
home at
the
the time he was
story.
murdered? Were you home when he was
No,
murdered?
I was gone. Okay, they murdered him after I left my premises to go to a contract with my skids. Okay, I had skid steer services. I had contracts with these people. I was being paid quite good money, and my some of my family members were involved too in doing the work. And I was an operator, a machine operator for that company. That was my company.
Okay.
So I'm a hands-on kind of person. So I did some of the work, and some of my family members did as well. And then I had another company. It was a insurance company, and we were dealing really closely with Lloyd's of London's and all kinds of commercial.
So you were working. When you say you're doing contracts, you were work. You were working.
Oh
You were
yeah,
gone to
I was
work
working
while your
hard.
husband was home, and you come home. Someone says, "Hey, you need to go home. You need to go home," or did they say, "Stay away from home"?
No, they didn't tell me to go home. I tried to call my husband, and eventually he came and called me, and I was like, "Wow, why did it took so long for us to have a communication here?" And he said to me, "Oh, I was busy, but," and he was kind of rude. And my husband was never rude to me because he
He was
knows I
giving you a sign.
get right out of him. And he was, it's almost like you said, I said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Yeah," I said, "We need to talk about this mortgage." I said, "Well, are we going to go into this program because of COVID?" I said, "I think we should try to like just, keep going because we can afford it." And he was like, "I'm dealing with it, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, what's going on, man?" And so I said, "Look, I'm 10 minutes away and I'll be there shortly. I'm at the junction 22, so I'll be up there."
Yeah.
Well, when I got there, I parked my truck and my equipment in front of the first gate because we had a first gate to go to the office, and the second gate was the house. And so I went in the first gate, and I said, "The gate is closed." So I went inside the gate, and I was like, maybe he's not, in the office yet. He's probably still eating toast, having coffee, something in the kitchen. So I look in the office, didn't see anybody, and he wasn't feeling good the day before. So I thought, oh, maybe he fell or something. So I was like, I look around the premises, nothing is amok. So I said, he's probably having coffee. So I went to the property through the land and left my truck there. When I got to the property, I looked around and my mom just got up and she goes, "What's happening?" I said, "Did you see Jeff?" She goes, "Yeah, he left about half an hour ago," she said. "He left to the office." And so I came back and lay down, she says, because it was quite early because I left town. It was like 4:45, and I came back at around 6:15 or so. Well, at 6:15, I was talking to him, and I was on the land by 6:30. And by 6:45, I'm running around the land and the property to find him. And so I went back to the office, couldn't find him. And I decided to walk in the office because now there's no light. And usually he's got lights on or he's somewhere. And I look around, and then I found a letter on the desk with an open file, and all his keys and his phone and everything was there. And I was like, what is going on? Did he took off because he's having financial problem of some sort? Or, everything went through my mind. So I grabbed the letter, and I started reading all the things that he wanted me to do. And I didn't realize that at the beginning it says, if you find this, I am dead. So I went back to the house, and I'm pissed off now because I'm like, oh, there you're going to run away from all this. What happened? Because some of the things I read on there meant that he had backstabbed me. So I was like, what the hell? So I went to my
Do you
mom.
think someone else wrote it?
No, because I found because my husband was a very smart man, and he did an investigation for quite a while. And in any case, he would save all copies of everything in boxes, and he would store these boxes, and all emails he would ever get from anyone, he would keep them.
Yeah.
So he tried to write it several times, apparently, that day. And because that's what I found after by doing my
So he
life.
was trying to let you know that he had everything stored that you needed. Okay.
So I started looking through some stuff, and I was like, okay, I got to go back to the house and get my truck. So I'm running, Mom, you got to come. And so she goes, what's happening? I say, here's this fucking letter. And it was kind of crumble a bit, but then she goes, what is this? I don't understand. And I was like, never mind. I said, just take this letter. I'm going after him. Because I said that I was here. I talked to him like 10 minutes ago. So I went back to the land, past the shed, on my way to my truck, and past the shed, I see the lock is taken off, and the shed
Oh.
is closed shut. You can't close the shed shut from the inside. Someone got him in there, killed him, and closed the door and closed the gate, because that gate was always open for business every day.
Oh, because when you went home, the gate was closed.
Yeah, when I got home, I was like,
The
what?
first the first time you got home, the gate was closed, and that was
Yes.
odd to
And
you.
then the shed door was closed shut, and there's no way you can close it shut from the inside. So it's
Do you
done
mind
from
me
the outside.
asking? Do you mind me asking how you found him?
I walked in, and my husband was hanging with a belt I'd never seen in my life.
Okay, so
Someone
okay.
else's prints and everything. Yeah.
So did you have the police come out?
Oh, yes.
And so the police came out, and they're not anybody else's prints on the belt. So you have fingerprints.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just good thing I'm not on camera right now because I could probably just start crying right now. So it's probably a good thing.
And now I'm alone to deal with this bullshit here with these people. But I'm not alone because I have tried.
Because you want your money back, though. This is all about
Yes.
just because you want your money back.
I want my money back, and I want to tell the truth about how these people did what they did to my family.
I know I'm saying, but they killed him just because of money.
Yes.
Because and
Yes.
they want you so broke and devastated and destitute that the only way they can
Someone
do it is if
has
they
an
break.
interest in me. This is what this whole thing is about. Somebody has a great interest in me, an obsession with me, and they
Because they
won't
can't break
stop
you. Because they can't break
until
you.
they decide that it's over. And I've been negotiating with these people, and they keep saying, just give us a little bit longer. We're trying to finish some work here, and then we're going
Bullshit.
to
They have the
get
money.
you, and
Bullshit.
we'll give you the money. They have the money. They're elitists. They have tons of money.
Oh no, they do. So we're not going to show contracts today. We're going to save that for episode 2 because
Okay.
I've already got these things stored in a place where we can use them in the future if needed. What I want to know is how much total, according to your contract, do they owe you?
Well, we entered into a second contract because this was getting way too much disruption. Like they destroyed a lot of things. They destroyed my life entirely, and some of my family and part of my tribe. So the contractual agreement changed. I said, "Well, this doesn't no longer apply." And he said he volunteered himself to involve $7 production to make it more viable and safe, that there's a prominent company involved now because I didn't believe him anymore. And then he got his management to sign. He signed and I signed for $30 million of damages.
Okay, so right now, right now, with the with all of this stuff, with everything that you've lost, $30 million is what you guys have agreed to. That you have contracts signed by him and by you and his management. And at the end of the day, you want this harassment to stop. You want to continue doing your work with bringing clean water to your tribes because that was your whole intent for
That's
what,
right.
20 plus years, and that's been your whole goal. That's all you want.
And not just that, I mean, they took my husband from me. Now I'm alone. I have to start a new life, right? So, of
Yeah.
course, I had to move out of that house, but I built that house with my hands. Half this property, that house, I built with my hand. Okay. So I bought this property the way it was, and I built and built around that place, and I rebuilt half of that house myself alone. Okay, because I come from a family that we work and we do these things together, but I was far away from my family, but I know how to do these things, and my husband wasn't very good at that. However, he was good at other things with the insurance company and the
You had your roles.
detail of it. But my roles was I'm a fixer, and I helped, and I worked my ass off, and I had my own company. And I was sharing the insurance company half and half with them, which I got screwed on because of this whole fiasco here. But these people had me on satellite. They had interfered with my vehicle's GPS system. They interfere with my phones, and I'm not a paranoid person, okay? And I saw this with my own eyes from one of the investigators that got pulled out because he got scared of these people.
So
Me,
and
my
for
point is that I'm trying to start my new life now. I have a tumor I'm trying to resolve because I know how to do this. I don't need no chemo. I just need basic medical care. And I don't understand that myself and my service dog that needs a vet right now, I'm not allowed to have any basic medical care. Anybody in a concentration camp or any prisoner in concentration camp or any prison in this country or mine are entitled to basic medical care. And I'm not. There's a problem. Why is it that those immigrants are coming down the hill and they get $10,000? They're illegals, and they get a free room for 8,000 a month plus full medical care, and I can't? There's a problem. And why is this guy holding my life? Why? Right? So now he's telling me as soon as I'm finished with this week, I'm coming to see you and we're going to resolve this peacefully and I'll put you somewhere else. I was like, thank you. And I need basic medical care and a vet for my dog. You owe me a life. And he agreed. And he keeps apologizing. So, and the intent to pay happened twice now. And I'm like, I'm beyond angry at this point. And yes, I am going to be very diplomatic if he ever shows up. And I want to say, look, I don't want you part of my life anymore. And I'll even put a restraining order against you for the rest of my life. But you have to pay me now because I didn't do nothing to you. And you owe me what's on this contract here.
did you take down your gifts and go?
I tried to leave it on, and there was some interference, and they didn't want to hear about this story, and then nobody cared about it, and nobody was giving me nothing.
Well,
So
I
they
know, but I was just gonna promote it on here. I was just gonna put it on the bottom of your video.
had to take it down.
Did they tell you to take it down, or who told you to
Yeah,
take it down?
the people that manage the GoFund page.
Oh, so they've been contacted by other people to take down your Give Send Go with your
That's
story?
right. That's right. That's why I can't
So
get
the
a
Give
hold.
Send Go is supposed to be the company that doesn't have interference. So someone did I don't know if you can tell me this. Did they tell you it was because no one had donated to you, or was it because I know people have their stuff up for a long time that they have zero donations.
This is an interesting story, and I mean, there's a lot of parameters to this, and I'm so devastated by this.
They took your
I
Give Send
just
Go away.
even, yeah.
Oh
And
my gosh.
my ex Twitter, I'm very limited on who I can share this. I can't even get more followers than this much. It's just ridiculous. My TikTok is the same. I
So
was at
they've
2,000
silenced you.
once one day, and the next day I was at 1,800. Okay, this is just the type of bullshit that they're doing to me. Now my phone, and I'm keeping all these interference to keep going, because when somebody real comes about, like some investigator comes and take action towards this, they're gonna see all these people and what they have done to me and my family.
They took your Give Send Go, which is supposed to be not penetrable. That's why I recommended that over GoFundMe, because it's not supposed to be able to be infiltrated by people.
Yeah.
Because I was like looking, because I was going to post a link at the bottom of the screen so people would know where they could donate money to
And I'm
help with the
sorry to
little
say
things.
this, dear friend of H2 Algae, um, they know what we're doing right now, and
I
this
know.
this video will be suppressed.
Oh well.
But I have some friends that know some big shot journalists here, and I really appreciate your time to do this, and it really puts things in perspective for the public, and they need to hear that this guy is not who he claims he is.
That's insane. All right. We're not going to talk to you. I think we've covered all the grounds. I'm still reeling from the Give Send Go, honestly, because I've shared it on a couple places. I didn't realize the link wasn't valid anymore. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna try to figure out a way that we can get money to her. I don't know how yet, but I wanted this story to get out here. Obviously, I don't have my face on here for a reason. These people scare me, and when she came to me months ago with this story, I'm like, how can I help? I feel like I need help. She just like her story's good, but it's almost like you need someone asking questions to guide you to make sure that, like, if I don't understand what you're saying, then the average eighth grade reading level person is not going to understand. So you speak at a higher level, and
I
so
understand.
it's just.
I mean, yeah.
But that was my goal, and guys, I hope you take this. Like, I'm not someone who just goes out and does this because I'm getting nothing from this. This she gets to edit this however she sees fit, and I honestly would say don't edit it, because I would say put it up as it is, because it's raw, it's organic, it's a conversation between the two of us. But the
Yes.
point is that I said I would facilitate this interview to help bring clarity to so people could maybe understand better, because I understood a little bit, but I got confused. I'm like, I need more details. Let's just let me ask questions. There's no script here, guys. There's no we're not reading. We're not in the same counties. We're not in the same countries. We're
No.
not even the same location whatsoever. And so this was just
I'm
us having
real.
conversation.
I'm not a bot. I'm not a robot. I wasn't cloned, and yeah.
But there's no scripts, guys. Like
No,
you
there's no
can't
script.
you this story is too crazy to be fake. Is all I have to say. Is like I had people say, "Are you for real?" Because I've said that talked about this. I've shared the story from the YouTube channel with some people, and they're like, are you this real?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, this is real. Like I believe like 100% of this." So it's up for you guys to decide. There's receipts. I've seen the receipts. I've seen they exist. There's paper trails of everything, and they're not, from my understanding, they're not all in one location. So the goal is not to cause harm. This video, everything will be taken down. Just settle your debts. It's not that hard. You
No.
like let her go. Let her go.
I mean, I'm not trying to cause damage to this guy, but I mean, the people that he frequents are not nice people. They're not people that are honest and that plays this game that is, it's one thing to play the game as an elitist, and it's another thing to destroy somebody completely that they'll never have a life again. This is how it feels for me. They had no rights to do this. They have no rights to make me wait one more minute of my life.
And the thing is, too, though, Marie, is it's not, I think the world is waking up now. They see, I mean, we have the stuff that happened with P. Diddy and all of those kids' lives and
Oh,
singers that he's
yes.
destroyed. You have the Garcia
Terrible.
kid. There's people who are done. I mean, poor Britney Spears. Everyone's like, oh,
Yeah.
she's crazy. No, this is what they have
Well,
done
now
to
she's
these
so
children.
traumatized and destroyed that, yeah, of course she's out of
She's
control.
in
I
our,
mean,
yeah.
poor thing. I mean, I'd like to sit down and have a chat with her, try to help her heal from this. But
She
these
was for a
people,
minute, but they got it
wow,
back under their control.
yes, yeah.
But so that's, I mean, but I think the public's ready to hear this story and start taking it serious because it's the same people. It's Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hollywood, the the music industry, the Epstein's of the world, it all ties into the same people. So when we say these people and why I'm afraid, this is why. She's not afraid. She's brave. I told her, I said, I wish I were brave like you, but I'm not. So I will be your friend and I will help where I can.
Well, I
And
really
that's all I can
appreciate
do.
that. Don't worry about your safety. I would not
It'll be fine.
allow anything to happen to anyone that's going to help me. Okay.
Okay.
And even I won't allow anything to anyone that talks to me. Okay. I like, yeah, I'm not just me, this,